Hello everyone, I'm here to present you an unusual tape I discovered of the 1995 Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Destroyah. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you a brief rundown of the story. After many action-packed battles across Japan, Godzilla's heart begins to run out of radiation and enters meltdown. To make the situation even worse, a new monster called Destroyah, spawned from the chemical reactions caused by the oxygen destroyer in the original movie, appears, and it's up to Godzilla to save the nation before he himself destroys it. Anyway, I come across this VHS tape in 1996, shortly after the film had been released in Japan. Being a serious fan of Godzilla, I obtained the tape by buying it directly from a Japanese distributor myself for a small fee, plus import costs. Inserting the tape into my player, I noticed the first major difference. Rather than the film opening with Godzilla rampaging through Hong Kong, the film opens on Birth Island, which is where Godzilla and his son, Little Godzilla, went home to after defeating Space Godzilla in the previous film. Little Godzilla can be seen wandering around the island, blowing bubbles and generally having a whale of a time on the small island, but Space Godzilla can very briefly be seen in the background when Little Godzilla wanders toward his father. I assume this was an error due to the use of stock footage. Godzilla dotingly watches his son, having flattened several trees to get a better vantage point over the island's coastline. Suddenly, Godzilla's chest pulses and radiation emits out of the scutes on his back. He roars in agony, and the scene cuts to Little Godzilla, who looks around in surprise as the screen goes white. The film then continues onward to the Hong Kong introduction, and from this point onwards, the film continues as normal, with a few small errors such as Godzilla Jr. missing some of his roars, and the lines used to control the juvenile Destroyah puppets being visible every so often. The film next changes, becoming more disturbing when Godzilla Jr. is killed by the final form of Destroyah. Destroyah lifts Jr. into the air and as per usual, but Jr. desperately tries to fight back, blasting Destroyah in the face multiple times with his atomic breath. Destroyah shrugs it off, and using all of his strength, throws Jr. to the ground. When Jr. hits the ground, instead of seeing Miki and her friend's shocked reaction, Jr.'s face is shown in a close-up, foaming at the mouth in a similar fashion to when he was injected with micro-oxygen earlier in the film. He is shown to be writhing in pain, and the right side of the suit's face is depressed and dented inwards. This continues for about a minute or so before Jr. falls limp. Godzilla looks even angrier than usual and storms toward Destroyah in retaliation for the death of his son. But Destroyah uses his powerful arms to toss Godzilla aside into a building, which collapses under the mutated dinosaur's sheer weight. Destroyah appears almost happy that he is killing and injuring his foes, and a sadistic glint in his eyes appears as he watches Godzilla desperately trying to get up and go to his son. Godzilla breathes radiation over Jr., but unlike the normal film, in which he is briefly revived before dying again, Jr. does not stir. The next scene of interest is of a subject which has become legendary amongst the G fans. It is a scene which is often described but very rarely seen. There is no sound except for what appears to be the grindings of servos in Destroyah's suit. The monster braces himself, and the pattern on his chest opens up. What I then saw definitely hasn't been seen by anyone else. Whereas in the normal deleted scene, Destroyah's actual beam that is fired in this attack isn't seen, probably because it hasn't been edited in yet. In this version, you can clearly see the beam, which was colored a bright purple, slam into Godzilla, and the screen fades to white. This is not the end of the tape, however. Despite the previous scene having clearly displayed the death of Godzilla, a new scene is shown instead. I saw that a production code, G versus D1005, was now visible in the corner of the film, and I realized that I'd come across a work print version of the movie. Next, the scene cuts to the body of Jr. again. This time he is in even worse state than before. Part of the suit is on fire, but rather than just showing the inside of the suit, the slowly roasting flesh-colored fabrics which made up the inside of the downed Saurian can be seen. Flames overtake the monster altogether, and sparks start to fly out of the boundary between the suit's head and neck. The film then cuts further onwards to when the JSDF show up to try and bombard Destroyah with their weapons. Instead of taking to the air, Destroyah's floral pattern opens up again and uses the same move as earlier, destroying the tanks in a mighty explosion. That marked the end of the film. Rather than being scared, disturbed, or even annoyed, I was fascinated by what I had seen. I decided to reorder a new tape so I could see the final product, but I decided to keep hold of the unusual tape. Perhaps the strangest thing about this tape is that there is absolutely no blood whatsoever. Although it is a rare occurrence, blood is sometimes used in the Godzilla series to symbolize a serious injury. Since this isn't added during the addition of other special effects, it is always used while the cameras are still rolling. Why the blood had not been used here baffled me. Perhaps it's symbolic for something? Either way, I'm keeping this tape. Who knows what secrets it may hold. Okay, so this creepypasta, if you can really call it that, has some pictures inserted throughout. Yeah, they just look like normal stock images from different Godzilla movies. Interestingly enough, I saw both Space Godzilla and Destroyah. Both of those movies were on a 2-pack that Cinemaster and I reviewed, actually. So, yes, this creepypasta did kind of pique my interest. Was it really, creepy? Not really, but I've been scared. Well, honestly, creepypastas don't really scare me, but I've read scarier creepypastas. This is more of an interest pasta, I guess. So, it's not really the best, honestly, but it's certainly better than the last couple creepypastas I've read. So, yeah, that's about it. Like I said, this interested me mainly because I've seen both Space Godzilla and Destroyah, and Cinemaster and I reviewed those movies, so I'll have to rewatch those again and see what shots were probably used to create this creepypasta. But if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching or listening. Have a good day. God bless. Peace, Pacham, and bye.